Why nobody takes you seriously as a filmmaker yet?
Why is that?
Why?
Who knows?
Who knows? Well, that's what we're going to get into today from our experiences of releasing our own films. So if you want to be a filmmaker, you want to be taken seriously, this is one to watch.
That's right.
Let's go.
Let's go.
The Wagyu Films Podcast provides advice for filmmakers, movie news, and updates on the team's latest projects. Subscribe now to not miss out on future episodes. Remember to give us a like.
Welcome to the Wagyu Podcast, where we give lots of filmmaking advice from releasing Older Gods, a indie horror hit. We're going to say
Hit.
multiple award-winning, international. Yeah.
And if you're watching,
We
you've
did.
probably watched it.
If you have watched it, God bless you. If you've pirated it, fine.
We will find you.
We'll
we have
find you.
certain skills.
Yeah, just give us a nice review. If you do like this episode, once we get into it, up to this point they probably haven't, to be honest with you. But
I don't know. My energy's been fun.
energy,
Likeable.
Scott's letting us down. I think Scott's letting us
I'm
down.
doing exactly what you said when you're talking.
Right. So, so please like and subscribe. We are going to say that if we eventually get to 5k subscribers, we're going to put Older Gods on YouTube for free, so everybody can enjoy it. So anyway, let's get into how. And to be fair, we're not just having a go at people who are filmmakers and aren't quite sure what they need to do. A lot of this is going to be kind of maybe where we were and like mistakes that we've learned along the way a little bit. Some things we assumed that and were wrong. Some things that we thought would be common sense, and there's not a lot of common sense in the film
It's all
industry.
from our experience, really.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of our experience.
Some things that you get told at university to do, which you're getting told from
Yeah.
someone who's not been in the industry.
Yeah.
Been told by someone who has gone from university back to university to teach other university students.
Yeah. Should we start with a few points? Shall I start first? I'll start with one, which might be kind of.
Should we rock, paper, scissors it?
Oh.
No.
Oh.
Dave can go first.
So we're going to go with. I was so excited.
I
thought that was gonna bring-
those two were in.
Yeah.
Have you seen Squid Game? The double rock paper scissors. It blows my mind. I'll show you later.
What season's this in?
3 maybe
Oh.
2. No, 2.
I have only
I don't know.
watched the
I've only
first
watched the first one.
I'll
Lost me in
show
the
you later.
second.
It makes your brain hurt. So we're going to start, and this is kind of overarching into, I think, what everybody's going to say. But first and foremost, yes, everybody filmmakers are artists, but if you don't understand the business side, you're just going to fail. Nobody's going to invest in you. Nobody's going to take you seriously. Your team probably, don't know if you actually get a crew together, and if you don't understand the business part when they're talking about it, you're going to look a bit amateur. So you need to understand, it's an obvious one, but business covers everything. It's like, do you know when you hear about when did directors get fired? What they call it, is it creative differences?
Yeah.
That's because somebody didn't get the business and was not being able to compromise. So if you're just like, no, this is my vision, no, those people in suits will just move on to somebody else. Maybe at that point they've bought that script that you've written, so then
You're no longer attached to that.
somebody
script.
is directing your script because you were a pain in the arse. So it's kind of,
You may have even got through all the way to the edit.
yes,
And you can still be removed because your vision doesn't align with theirs. So
Yep.
you could have been part of the pre-production, you could be part of production, and during post-production they remove you.
Yeah.
So don't be that creative guy that won't bend and flex. You know,
yeah.
we all have how we want a film to work out and how
Of
we
course.
want a film to finish up, but being unflexible, then you shouldn't really go on and ask for someone else's money.
Yeah,
If you want to be that guy.
I think that's the thing people, artists and filmmakers forget, is that money put towards film, somebody has probably worked their arse off to get to where they are, to get that money together. To a lot of things have gone to be, so they're not just going to give it to some guy who has what you think is a good idea, which is kind of. So you do have to come, because people hear stories about, horror stories about, say, it's always like Blade Runner when Ridley Scott was threatening to be fired and things like that. But to be fair to him, he was massively over budget and behind schedule. So if your guy's going, Jesus, how are we spending that? We've got to get more insurance to pay for it. you've got to be. That's not surprising. You've got to kind of put yourself in their shoes. Now, fight your corner, back and two. But if you look at all the biggest directors are good business people.
Yeah.
Spielberg, he knows how to talk around the studio, but he's also talking about the technology that's involved. He also understands the box office and marketing. You can say that about James Cameron. Any who's a big director and successful for many, many years. You might get a couple of directors who had a couple of hits, but then all of a sudden you didn't hear from them again. It's because they were probably arguing with people thinking that they were genius, where you've got to look at people with money as your partners rather than the suits. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of...
Sometimes they're not going to be suits. They're going to be private investors. Private investors who've got their money through however...
Yeah, and I'd argue that they're the ones you should be nicer to, because you could say a big studio is used to giving it to some art people, but if somebody's just for the first time investing in film when you've talked them into it, or you've got a producer who talked into it, even if it's like 10 grand of their money, 10 grand's a lot of money that somebody's put out of their own pocket to give you. So I wouldn't listen to people's like people trying to give you ideas on the scripts. I'd hear them out. End of the day, someone has a good idea, I'll use it, because you could always say that you came up with it. Nobody says that. But you can have agreements, which is very much kind of, I'll listen to you, but I don't have to do this particular thing when it comes to the film. But it's more for, you are going to get pushed back on things like, do you need 2 locations when one location could do it? Do you need these 3 roles? Couldn't that just be 2 people with a bunch of lines? Sometimes you got to look at it and go, do you risk losing your film completely just because you were being stubborn? Are you being stubborn, or are you being, what's the word? Not interactive is the wrong word. Being a collective and working with other people that are actually trying to get there too. And nobody wants to make a bad film, and nobody wants to. They want their money back. That's number one. But they, if you're not giving them exactly what they want to, making them feel confident in you, which a lot about what we're going to talk today is pretty much making people feel confident in you to be able to give you money or to give you responsibility. Or even if you're not a filmmaker who's like the top, this is the right for, if you want to be a head of a department or you want to be a DOP or something. It's not just about what it looks like in your show reel. It's about when you get in a room with them.
Yeah.
And
you've got to be someone that someone can work with.
Yeah, if you're not, you're a pain in the arse, and nobody wants to work with a pain in the arse. So it's kind of, first and foremost, is learn marketing, learn about how films are marketed in terms of aiming at audiences, why you do that, what something's expected. Sometimes that comes into things like casting and things like that, where you're marketing to a certain audience, knows a certain person. Or even it might be like the gender you use, but look into pitching. Are you making sure you can pitch well? You don't just sit down and be like, yeah, so, like, there's a good story. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Will Smith, but there's a story of why he turned down The Matrix, because was it the Wachowskis who directed it? They had a brilliant script, and they had loads of visuals that they came in. But when he talked to them, he was like, "Well, tell me about the film," and they were very like, "Well, there's lots of slow motion fighting," and they just couldn't sell it. So he turned it down. So even if you've got the best script in the world and best visuals and things like that, just because you weren't full of energy and you knew what you wanted, and I think that's also a sign of, I'm going to be on script with these guys and they don't know what they're doing.
The Matrix would have been so different with Will Smith.
It would have been terrible.
so different.
He did Wild Wild West instead, which is
Giant spider.
Brilliant. So
I would get out of the mindset of you're a creative. Get out. You're not, when you want to ask people for money and you want to make things, you are a professional.
Yeah.
So understand that and get yourself on board with everything that comes with that. So that's dressing like an adult if you're going to ask for people money.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
That's being professional. It's working well in teams. It's understanding the business element, making sure your contract and things are signed in the right way, that you're not bending over backwards and working off people's handshakes and expecting
Yeah.
expecting everything to go wildly. So it's getting out of that I'm a creative mindset, waking up and going to business meetings in your fucking slobs.
Yeah, well, filmmaker. I'd say the title of filmmaker underneath that is the creative and the business. You need both to be the filmmaker. Otherwise, you're just a creative. And the dress thing does bother me. It's like everybody think, well, I'm a creative filmmaker. I should maybe dress a bit or dress down. I'm not saying you got to wear a suit, but
Iron a shirt.
be serious.
Iron your goddamn shirt.
Turn up in a room and make them think, oh, well, this guy means business.
Mm-hmm.
If you just like, I was coming with a Star Wars T-shirt and shorts
And a beanie.
Oh, so it's that
Looks like he
oversized beanie.
Looks like he
It
hasn't
looks like you've got a dread in the back of it.
Looks
or
like he
something
hasn't
that.
washed. It's just kind of leaning back in his seat, not kind of. It's just walk in the room like you own it, because you might one day. But you're only going to do that if you actually convince the people across the that you actually know what you're doing.
Stick that on a poster.
Yeah, do you like that? I just made that up. I'm going to note that down.
What was it again?
Walk into a room like you own it, because you might one day.
Oh, it gave me shivers.
Yeah, so
That's definitely a quote in a film, that is.
Patent pending.
yeah. I'll put in the script for no reason.
Keep your eye out. Keep your eye out for the next short that we do.
The next monster walks into a room because I own it. So no, but it is.
looks into the camera as he does it.
I think sometimes you might meet a kindred spirit, but at the end of the day, it's dressed down once you got to know them. That first impression, you can't.
They all count.
You never get a second chance.
Yeah. And like as part of that professionalism, doing your research on who you're meeting.
Yeah.
You know, knowing if you're going for private investment, who they are, what they do. You can ask questions about why they're getting involved with private investment and stuff like that. Know where they've got their money from. Know who they've worked with before. So you can understand a little bit about how to interact with them.
Yeah, and they would see you in a weird way. Kind of private investment would see you as a supplier. Do you know, like in their business, so somebody comes in and pitches to them for them to pay for their services. So they'll be used to a certain level, especially if you're young. If you're young and you walk in, and these guys are just like, "Who's this kid with?" All right, you instant. Even if you come in with a blow you away presentation, that will work, but you've kind of soiled the first impression of kind of like.
Don't quote me on the statistics, but 50% of the time,
every time
they'll be investing in you.
You're
not
right.
just your scripts. They'll be investing in you. So if you have that backstory of you've made a certain amount of films on very low budgets, or they like what you've done previously, so and then or maybe you are someone that they're taking a swing on. You being that professional person they can have a relationship with, they're investing in you, they want their money back at the end of the day. So if you're someone that they can trust with their money, they can trust they might see a return on it, there can be a long-term relationship. But like 50% of the time, they are investing in you.
I've got another terrible statistic that I'm making up, but it's something on the lines.
Should we rename this? Don't Google it.
Don't Google it.
Should we rename this?
So it's something like, I think it's something like 40 to 50% of films don't get completed. Like literally like half.
I think that's generous.
So if you imagine that, it could be a studio, it could just be an investor, it could just be a producer who needs a creative person to help. They would have been in the past that they would have worked with somebody. I'll guarantee they would have worked with somebody who let them down. So if you come in dressed like shite, not acting like the business is important, they're just going to go, he or she is another one of them. I can't be bothered. It's a really good script, good idea, but I can't be fucking bothered dealing with another one of them.
Yeah.
So look like you know what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? Dress. We've talked about that. Just
being more professional.
Yeah, you don't have to be a suit.
Don't have to be a suit or anything, but dress what you understand about the business, which comes in time, I guess. But the more research you do on how things are, and I think this could lead into something else, is like not being naive about, hey, I've got this fantastic script. I'm going to go and contact this agent, and they're going to respond to me because I've got this fantastic script. I think that was our naivety to start with. Is like we didn't understand how casting agents and that kind of side worked. So there was a lot of, well, I've tried calling them and no one's getting back to me.
And a big thing is kind of connected to this is, well, a lot of filmmakers don't seem to. Well, I didn't really realize myself, which was nobody really reads your script. So when you get in touch with somebody, they'll be like, "Okay, what's it about?" And the pitch has kind of got to do, or you got a little synopsis.
And you've got 30 seconds tops.
Who's in it? Okay, I haven't got much cast, blah, blah. All right, what have you done before? And then if it's your debut, which is like if you watch any other episode of this podcast, we're always banging on about make something small and cheap just to say you've done something. We've made 1,000 commercials, but even when we got into the films, they were still like, yeah, but what films have you done? But the thing is imagine going into talking to somebody and nobody reads your script. How would you convince them apart? Because everybody's so convinced that their idea and their script's so amazing that will do the job. But the script kind of only gets read once it's kind of greenlit in a weird way, or almost greenlit, because then it gets passed to producers who actually come up with a budget and things by reading it scene by scene. But really, because most, if you think like a big film studios, they'll get in a meeting and be like, all right, Brad Pitt's in it. What's it about? Okay, who's directing it? Oh, yeah, greenlight. Let's do this. They don't give a shit about the script.
Doesn't matter. Brad Pitt's in it.
Yeah. So if you haven't got an A-list star and you haven't done much, you need to really look into. Then you talk about how you can market the film, how you're going to save them money and make the money back, even though there's nobody that you know in it and you don't know me. If you can convince them with that, you might convince them. If you don't, you need to go back to the drawing board a little bit and try and, with your casting, or go back to what we say is make that small little film first, and then you've got a backup and kind of the actors that you put in there. If your little film does okay, you can go, when people ask who's in it, you can say, well, the guys who's in this award-winning or whatever film previously. So then you got a little bit more convincing them. But
I think it's easy to get kind of caught in that vicious circle type of thing of where you have a script, no one will read the script until you have an actor or a name against it.
Yeah.
You can't get an actor or a name against it because no one's going to talk to you. They won't talk to you because no one's going to take you seriously because you haven't done anything. So you're trying to do something, but you can't do it because no one's going to read your script. And so it goes over and over again. So I think it's important to try and do things as much as possible on your own kind of terms first to get that initial first film.
We just have to quickly explain how this podcast is sponsored by Filmwear. Stylish but practical clothing for film crews, video producers, and lovers of movies. All profits also go towards Wagyu Films' next film, so you are both supporting the team as well as looking like an absolute legend. Go to filmwear.store today to pick up your crew t-shirt, sweater, hoodie, or training top. Now back to the show.
Yeah, so, I mean, the whole industry just kind of runs off of these unwritten rules of how you're supposed to go about the whole process and how you're supposed to kind of contact people. Because if you're out of that kind of loop, because it's basically a clique, isn't it? A group of people that run off there and think if you don't do it by their terms, then you're not allowed to kind of come in. I think that's one of the things we've learned a lot, especially with casting, so that you can't just go as a production company or a filmmaker, approach a talent agency, send them like a huge email with the script, what it is you're looking for, the person, the actor, or the name you're looking for.
Even if you put the budget and how much you're going to pay
you
them.
can give them all that information. It's from there. It's kind of like an unsolicited
call.
Email. So they're not going to.
We used to try it.
We got away with it once.
We get replies going, you should get a casting director. And
that's if they get in contact with you at all. So I think there's, if you can, try and get a casting director attached to your film, or even just speak to someone, because as soon as you have that casting director, boom, you've got your foot in the door, because that person knows all the different agencies and they're friends with the people who run those agencies, or even the agents themselves. So they have steps and processes that they can kind of do.
Even if it's just getting that kind of advice from them as well. Just helps massively, just because you're so fresh in that industry, that kind of part, just asking for some kind of advice, or just getting that email response saying, "Who have you got a casting director?" That's a help straight away, isn't it?
I think going through email's like the worst kind of way of contacting a talent agency. I think that we've kind of learned that.
It should be the follow-up, shouldn't it, after a call?
You have to have that first kind of initial call to the person who's going to answer their phone and kind of create a bit of a friendship
dialogue.
or work relationship with that person, and then take from there. Like any kind of, like, if you're trying to sell a product, emails don't work.
It comes down to networking, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's like so we thought we were being clever with like going IMDb Pro, get their agents, because IMDb does give actors, agents actual personal email addresses and stuff like that. So we were like, yeah, cut out the middleman. But they all
thought we kind of unlocked this huge secret. That's how it's happened. That's how it works.
But getting a casting director does take a while. So it's kind of like they have their reputation on the line, so they're not going to hammer a million talent agencies. They're going to make an offer to one, wait until they've read it and script it, and then move on, because they're not going to. Because if you're like, just send it to 20 people and offer them all, and the first one to come back and say yes. Which would have been nice, but you've got to. You'll burn the agency if you do that, and they'll just be like, "Oh, who are you?" So, but yeah, it's a weird kind of vicious circle for if you haven't done anything,
and kind of
nobody works with.
Be realistic with your aspirations of who you want in your film.
Exactly,
especially if you haven't got that backtrack, because when we did actually get a casting agency on board and they came back with who they thought would work well.
Mm-hmm.
That was a bit of kick in the nuts as well, because I was
Morgan Freeman doesn't want to be in it. Yeah. Well, no, but it is like
I'm still holding out for Luke Goss.
If you get a casting director, they might see the script. Do you know what I mean? You might still get rejected because but if you have a casting director, they will get in touch with the agent, talked about it, because sometimes they'll be like, "Well, who's this filmmaker? Oh, God knows who they are, but I can see that you're a respectable casting director, so I'll at least pass the script on to the actor." Without one, that's not always the case.
But the casting director will already have relationships with a lot of agencies
you're
anyway, so
they'll
kind of approach those people first. Maybe
they can help kind of sell the script to them as well.
They're usually the first people they suggest. It's usually like a list of people. Like, I'm not sure about all these, but they're all the ones they've worked with before. That they know that, look, a phone call, I can get the script in this person's hand. Where you're like, bloody, but will Kevin Costner be in it? You know what I mean? So it's kind of, so it's, but some people, casting directors are different. Some people look at a casting director just knowing that they've worked with that one actor, and you don't need, look, I don't need to do anything else. I'm just going to pay you to cast him in my film. If it works on them, blah, blah. Other people, you can pay them just to cast one role. So, like, for example, our next film, Patriarch, is very much, we have one role, which is very much the elder statesman, more famous.
It's not the
person.
lead.
Not the lead.
But it's quite a large part of the...
Yeah. And then casting is other people, the more like character actors that you don't see a lot of. So we've worked with a load of the character actor people, so we can go straight to them. That kind of face of the film, shall we say. We try contacting agencies and things like that, but they just... We were like, look at all the films we've done, look at the awards we've won. We're just like, have you got a casting director? And it was just like, okay. So you kind of... Because we just thought it would speed up the process, but if anything, it's slowed it down because people take ages to get back to you, if they do get back to you at all, innit?
Yeah.
So
they're even trying to be smart with giving them deadlines and things. And they'll get back to me.
Oh, you got to let us know by next Friday, otherwise.
Well, we're going to send this out.
Yeah.
they're just like, fine. And they don't want to put their client under pressure, do they? They just be like, here's a smaller film that, check it out. If you fancy doing it, let me know. And the agent as well is thinking, 10% of nothing is, so maybe I won't forward it on at all because it's not worth it.
Can you remember, now this is, I can't remember if it was a casting agent or if it was a producer, but we were offered money to make sure I think it was his cousin or something like that, made sure he made it into the film, and it was...
Yeah. We had a couple
bless
of them.
him, that fella's no longer on the earth.
Well,
but we were like, how can we fit this really wooden actor into our film?
So as people, we've had foreign investors who've tried to put people who could barely speak English in an English-speaking film, and we're always like,
Dave, rewrite this.
They can be the the guy in the background with the one line. Yeah, well, no problem. No. They can be one of the
if
the
you want my
3
money,
leads.
yeah,
And you're like, no. And that's obviously going back to the business thing. That's obviously the bit where you know what's being that's more what their suggestion will ruin the film and make people not take it seriously.
Sometimes it's best to walk
away. I want that location for $10,000 a day. So it's a fine line. Hold on, Keith. What were you gonna?
I think the one I was thinking about was probably having just a team around you, a good team around you. If you went into like an investors, just going in there saying I'm a director, I'm a videographer, I'm a whatever. They'll probably be like, oh, so I've got to find you all these things. I've got to find you an editor. I've got to find you a DOP. I've got to find you an animator or a visual effects artist, whatever it is. So just having people around you that you kind of trust and that you know that you can come do all those jobs that if you've got like a film that has got all these things in it, you've got the team around you that can actually do it rather than having to someone else to go and find them for you.
Yeah, investors are very lazy. They would like to just give money and just say, go and do it. That's what they'd like. They never do it because they know life's not that simple. But if you just come in with a script going that, and they can hire a producer to find everybody, but hiring that producer might be a pain in the arse. And that producer who comes in might be like, I'm not working with this person. And then months. So if you come and you do go, so I'm the director, I haven't done much, but here's a DOP who here's their show reel, look how great it is. I've got somebody who can do post-production and visual effects and things like that. Here's their show reel, look how amazing it is. I've even got a costume designer, and just like you can see drawings. So in a weird way, from your lack of experience, you can show off everybody else's.
It makes you look investable.
Yeah.
Because you've got this team around you that can actually make the film that you're talking about. So it's not you just going in there with a dream idea and go, oh yeah, there we go.
Because it works both ways. Because like obviously, if you go in with people that you've worked with before, like we have our own sort of on-set language where we all know what we're trying to say at 2:00 in the morning when we've been on set for 12 hours. But it also avoids you having to work with an editor you're not getting on with. It also avoids you having to work with a DOP that just isn't right for your film because a studio, a distributor, or an investor has said, I found you this man, you're working with that man because this is the money we're putting forward. So if you've got a team and you've got this backup of show reels, history of working together, and you can work together, it helps that, and it avoids you having to work with people that aren't just right for you and your creative vision.
And even if you freelance, and even if it's just like commercial jobs and things like that, it's crazy just to be by. If you're a camera operator, you should be networking and friendly with a sound recordist. Because that sound recordist will, when he gets offered a job, he'll go, well, I work with a camera person, and vice versa. Or you have an editor, like he's done all the filming's taken care of, but.
I mean, that was what happened to us when we left uni, and we thought, oh, we'll just walk into jobs. It was like the network was already closed off because there was this group of creatives that all did all the work already. They already had a DOP, they already had a sound guy, they already had. The only thing we could probably get were runners, and that was just making tea all day, and that was picking up equipment, moving it around for very little money. And then you'd wait around just to make some sort of relationship with this crew that were moving around the whole of the city, all the cities together, and just to get a smile and say, I can do this as well. Or shadowing editors and shadowing other DOPs to kind of find out who their network was.
I think as well. I don't know what you guys think. I think you should have you should be a specialist in something, but you shouldn't be able to just do one thing. So, like, if you're a camera person, you should be able to edit. Do you see what I mean? It's kind of like so you can get multiple things. Or often with investors and things, like Robert Rodriguez, obviously, talked about him before, and Desperado and all that. He goes into films and saying, well, I'm going to edit it too. So that means you don't have to pay for an editor. I'm just going to take the same fee for my director. Oh, okay. Do you know what I mean? That is obviously Robert Rodriguez. But if you're Gareth Edwards, like we talked about last week episode with Monsters, he's a lot more investable because he's like, well, I've written the script, I'll direct it, I'll actually operate it, I'll do the editing, and no, I think he'll do the visual effects. Yeah. So by that point, fucking investors are probably drooling, aren't they? I don't have to get paid this guy nothing. But he's doing well because he's just getting the fee he would have got for being a director to get his first film off the ground. But I'm just saying, it's just, I'd maybe have more than one, especially if you're not technical, only create. Do you know, if you say like, I'm a director, be a director and an editor or something, so you can get other jobs, or somebody who can, or be a...
Yeah, I'm really big on this bit, because I, obviously being the production designer, I had like dipped my toes into like the sound effects and stuff as well, and it's just kind of like adding another string to your bow, because you know, it's something different. It takes you out your comfort zone, but it's like, oh, that's really good. And when you're seeing something come together from something that you're fresh on or whatever it may be, I really enjoy doing stuff like that.
Well, it means you're involved in post-production as well, doesn't it? Rather than just like finishing and then obviously you're a producer, but
it's a way to keep your budget down.
Yeah.
It's a way to keep, if you can manage, I mean, you're going to be tired, you're going to be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But if you're able to manage several aspects of the production, it's going to help you on your bottom line in terms of your budget and the return from what you're trying to get.
But as you were saying before as well, when you're talking about the business side, if you've got everyone who understands the kind of goal and the team understand the goal, everyone's willing to get to the same point. Because they're all invested in that kind of...
Yeah, and if they're not like a company like us, where we're all kind of partners, if they're like, if you get somebody on board for yours and you promise to be on board for theirs, you can maybe get away with, you know, maybe they'll do that. I'd never ever ask somebody to do it for free. That's a piece of shit move. But it's more like, if somebody helps you out and does it for cheaper, so you've got what's in it for that, you've got to help them in the future. But if you don't have a team, if you're just a person wandering in with an idea and a script and a good pitch deck, you're a lot. Because if I was an investor and you came in like that, I'd be like, we're at least a year away from filming. But if you came in going, I've got a DOP, I've got a production designer, I've got a visual effects, I'm editing it myself, I'm talking to these people about casting, then they're like, okay, we're filming. That sounds like a film in about 3 months. So they'd have to pay for months and months of pre-production, which nobody wants to pay for pre-production. Nobody does. So yeah, no, it's essential. But any others that you think?
I feel we covered quite a bit there, to be honest. I mean,
a lot of them were mixed in, weren't they?
Always,
you got to know the business. It's all over the overhead of, if you don't know the business of film, a filmmaker is a creative and a business professional. You can't just be one. You can just be, if you're just a business professional, you're a producer maybe. But if you are doing the creative part too, if you don't understand the business, you're not going to do well in film business.
Stick that on a t-shirt. Stick that on a t-shirt. God,
the link below.
Two t-shirts.
Do we have links below? Can we have them? But all right, so that's fair. So if you have any questions about any other things, put them in the comments. We'll answer any suggestions for future episodes. Remember to subscribe. 5K, get your Older Gods for free.
Big shout out to Filmware for sponsoring this.
Thanks, Phil. I don't know why.
I don't know if you haven't noticed.
Scott are saying, turn round. Give him a turn round.
Show your boobs.
Give him a turn. No boobs. Don't show boobs. Just the back, because it's the back which is the more important bit. There you go. So, okay, right. So yeah.
So do you remember when we said last time, like, wear a high vis, it gets you into lots of places? If you've got a t-shirt that says crew,
that does work.
No one asks you.
No
one says, "Hey, what are you doing here?" They'll go, "That looks official."
Yeah. Filmware.
And it saves so much time. If you're going on set, you're not thinking, "Hey, should I wear my new Lacoste?" It's like, I stick my Filmware t-shirt on, and it says I'm part of the crew.
And it's black, so you don't. There's a reason why film crew always wear black. Is because
it's slimming.
Usually sweaty messes.
It's slimming.
No, if you're wearing grey or you're wearing white, and it's against it. So black's the way to go in a film.
If you saw any of our behind-the-scenes photos from Older Gods, it's just 10 slightly chubby fellas sweating.
We should have had some filmware.
Some filmware would have been great.
All right. Well, thanks very much, guys.
Thank you very much.
Take care. We'll see you next time.
Next week. Freeze frame. I've done this post too many times. I'm going to have to change it up.
Keith and Scott haven't done a dramatic freeze frame. They're just
staring into the camera.
But that's we're doing the kooky fun bit, and you're just staring.
He's always letting the team down. Fuck.
Fuck yourselves.
Oh.